3 recordings of the hymns in 3 different versions. So we've got Sarah's historical recording, which is done sort of a la Moravian, in the Moravian 18th century style. And to me, that kind of represents what has happened in the archival records. We could reproduce that music based on the historical archival material we have available that tells us about how did Moravians do their music. And we could reproduce that. And then here at the Church of the Wilderness, we're doing the modernized arrangements with those same tunes with the congregation of a descendant community, a related community. So for that community, the hymns mean something very different potentially, that here's a chance to connect with their ancestral language and with an ancestral version, an 18th century version of Mohican Christianity. And then the third recording that we've done is with Bill Miller at an event at the Idle Museum in Indianapolis, where he worked on creating new music not tied to the Moravian hymn tunes to go with the Mohican texts. And symbolically, that to me was a restoration of a Mohican voice that was absent from the historical recording that we did.
These hymns from the Moravian archives are some of the only written records of the Mohican language that exist. It's our hope that by singing these pieces again, by making the text available in a way that is more accessible, that it will assist in language revival efforts that are already going on in the community.
Let's play the D. To me, it's like a prayer language because it's a separate language now for me. And when I say it, I feel I'm stepping on a sacred ground. I'm going in, that was languages way before the United States ever became the United States. And yet we can still touch it. It's like finding a seed from the past. All of a sudden it's been there in the ground for over 100 years and you found it, you can grow that plant again. Yesu Pascuan Kea Neague Chemenenda.
The Moravian Church is a German Protestant denomination. They were founded by a German nobleman, Count Nicholas Ludwig von Zinzendorf. During the early 18th century, he developed this idea that if you improvised hymns, either the music or the text, that would give God a chance to enter into your life. Based upon archival records from Moravian communities, we know that they sang very slowly and very softly. And no one's voice was supposed to stick out because it's not about you. It's about the group and about singing together and about allowing the divine to sort of come through your body and to sing through you.
Strong Wounds is written by a Mohican man named Joshua, whose Mohican name was Tassawakaman. So he and his wife Bathsheba wrote a number of the hymns that we have. And this was part of a series that was talking about the power that comes from the wounds of Jesus.
So I'm sure we're going to mess up along the way. I'm sure the pronunciations is going to be wrong. Somewhere up there in the sky, our ancestors are going to be going, what?
The small hymnal that we ended up making for the Church of the Wilderness, which we sang together and recorded, was a collaborative project that involved not just Rachel and I, but also Brent Michael Davids, who is a composer living on the reservation. And he was able to take the 18th century German chorale tunes and reharmonize them in a way that sounds very modern and approachable for a 21st century church congregation.
The hymns were sort of fluid in a way. They would do different versions of them or different, change lyrics around and do different versions of these hymns. So they were kind of not static things like we think of a hymnal where they are all printed and they're permanent in a way. These are more fluid. But the manuscript that I saw was, it was in old style music notation that we don't really use anymore. So I just made the comment that I said, oh, these are interesting, but they're not really usable now. Like congregations wouldn't know how to sing this notation anymore.
Good. One time through, sopranos from the beginning. Pa quike, ready. Pa quike a son like a one etch nata. Wache so gahnak. Wata gaikakak. Na chona maniso. Na chona maniso. Very nice.
I called my mom and my dad both love music, and we came here to learn some of our tribes. We'll learn the language. I hope to learn this from my ancestors and learn more about my tribe.
I came here, a friend of mine, Rachel Wheeler, who I've known a long time. She's very interested in my tribe, and she knows the history about the language. So she asked me a while ago if I'd be interested in coming up here to record or try to learn some songs of my tribe in our language.
What I bring to the project is I can understand what the words mean in Mohican. And they're not always the same as what they were in the original English or the original German. Or sometimes you can tell that this was written by a native speaker, or this was written by somebody translating because they make simple mistakes, or that sort of thing. So that was why I was invited to come down. But since I've been here, I've worked, fairly closely with Bill and Sarah and Rachel. And I think we have a really wide range of interests, and I think we make a good team. Each of us is bringing something unique to the table, and we've gone and recorded a song.
So the asan is your strong.
Yeah.
So asanayik, the strong one.
Ah.
So they're not just any pagwayik. They're not just any wound. They're strong wounds. And you can see the yik at the end in both of them is the thing that is. So the thing that is a whole is the thing that is strong.
So the reason I was invited here was because I have a background in the language and I can understand the words. But the reason why I came here is because I've met comrades, colleagues, I've met friends who I'm going to hopefully work with for a good long time, and we'll carry this project forwards and forwards, and who knows where it's going to go.
Something that I've come to discover in this process is just how valuable it is to work collaboratively. I'm a historian. Most of my work had been done in archives, reading 18th century manuscripts, and it's been fascinating.
The
idea was that this recording would restore what was missing from the 18th century Moravian version of these hymns, which was a sense of a Mohican voice.
I know how Native men sang, and I grew up with them, so I had to go back and think, well, if I was hunting, and I was going to say a hunting prayer, God help me get a deer or whatever, how would I sing? And I'm walking, and I'm going to go back and back and back to the 1700s, and go back and back into the woods where I grew up, and I'm going to go back and see, how did these people feel? Then the melody came to me. So what we're going to do is play, this is the first version. It's going to continue to grow. Jesu Pasquan Kia Niagwe Minanda Yamach Jacob in Hamin Hahana Makeno Kana Hatoahan Machane Bapwayan
But today, singing these songs that our ancestors probably never heard for over 200 years made my heart grow fond and grow many memories. So we thank this project for coming together, recognizing that we are not the last of the Mohicans, that the Mohicans are not gone, they are still here.